Hey everyone, this is Rachelle. Thanks for clicking on my video. I came in today to talk about stupid shit that white people say. And there's a reason why I want to talk about this. Former mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani. Now, you guys remember him as the man who served as mayor during the September 11th attacks. He was the mayor of New York during that time. But I want to come in and talk about some recent comments that he made that I do not appreciate as a black person. First thing this man said is black parents need to teach their children to be respectful of the police. He also said black children have a 99% chance of killing each other. Third thing was black people need white people. Did y'all hear me? He said we need white people to control us, particularly white police officers. And the last thing he said is he thinks the Black Lives Matter group is inherently racist. Well, I say to you, what was his name? Rudy Giuliani, you're racist. For you to utter those comments, you're racist. Now, let's just talk about some of the shit that he said, because let me just tell y'all, it's some bullshit. You hear me? Bullshit. So about teaching our children to respect the police. As a black person, as a black mother, the first thing we do when our kids are able to travel away from us on their own is we teach them, if you ever encounter the police, be respectful. And along with that, we teach them about fear. So we do it hand in hand, respect and fear. And you know why we fear the police? Because of the shit that's going on in the world today. Look at the news. We need to fear them. So Rudy Giuliani, we teach our kids to respect the police, but the police don't respect us. Now the second thing this bastard said is that black children have a 99% chance of killing each other. Now, he's talking about that black on black crime that white people always yell about whenever something like what's going on television happens. But let me tell you about black on black crime. So, if you live in the community and most of the people in the community look like you, and you are a person who wants to rape, kill, murder, now you're going to do all that to the people who are in close proximity to you. So that's where black on black crime comes from. But let's flip it. Let's talk about white people within their communities. Now they're moving around and, if they're a criminal, so wouldn't that same thing work in their community? If they are a person who likes to rape, kill, murder, steal, wouldn't they do that to the people that are in close proximity to them? So would we call that white on white crime? 99%? Yeah, they're going to be killing their people more than what they kill black people. Now, of course, criminals travel. We all know that. So at times we may cross over and a white person may kill a black person and a black person may kill a white person. That is the facts. Those are the facts. Now this thing where he talks about, now this one really got me, y'all. He said black people need white people, namely cops, to control them. Child, I say they controlling the hell out of us lately, ain't they? They mowing down our men left and right. Every time I turn on the damn news, it's another brother shot by the police. He was resisting arrest or they feared for their lives. They controlling the hell out of us now. They got brothers taping their license and registration and insurance to their window. That way they don't have to reach for anything. That's the world that we're starting to live in. This is what they think of us. And the last thing this bastard said is that he thinks the Black Lives group is inherently racist. And you know what? Black Lives Matter, that group exists because there is a need for it. Right now in this country, right now, today, it is black men who are being shot and killed by the police. These young folks are turning on their televisions and watching what I'm watching. Men being shot, you know, in streaming videos posted on Facebook in front of stores. This is what we're watching. So I tell this man, basically, we don't need your advice. And you know what? While we're talking about it, what is your family like? You got all this advice to give. What is your wife? Where are your kids? How did they turn out? So I got to thinking about that. And we got this internet. So I started looking around to see what his offspring, how they turned out. Are they perfect little privileged kids? And I happened upon his daughter, Caroline. This little broad is a thieving little bitch. She went into Sephora with her privileged ass, her father with all his prominence and his glory, and the bitch shoplifted some shit out of Sephora. This privileged little girl at 20 years old was shoplifting, doing what they claim our kids do. But with her, she's troubled and she's having a little problems. And it made me start wondering about his other child because he has 2 kids. He has a son by the name of Andrew. Now, years ago when Giuliani was, being appointed to mayor, he had an inauguration speech. This is a very, very posh affair and it's somber. They're sworn in and all of that. Well, his little son, Andrew, jumped out of his seat during it, right as his father started to speak, ran up to the podium and stood there and would not leave. They couldn't get the little sweetheart to go back to his seat. And as his father is giving this very, very somber speech, his son is making gestures and faces at the audience and imitating his father and just showing his ass. That's what we call it in the black community. When your child gets somewhere and clown you, he was showing his ass. He showed his ass so bad that Saturday Night Live did a skit on their show about it with Chris Farley. That's how, this little boy looked to the viewing audience like an out of control kid. Now, out of control kids grow up to sometimes be out of control privileged adults. So little old Andrew is now grown, or 18, goes off to college, and he's good at golf. So he gets on the varsity golf team there at Duke University where he attends, and according to his coach, he was kicked off the team. And according to his coach, it was because he was a hot-headed bully. Now, that upset his sensibilities because, he's a child of privilege and how dare you do that to me. So you know what he did? He sued the shit out of them. Now, the suit is rather frivolous, so, he had some worries that it may not go through on his favor. So you know what he did when it looked like he might be losing? He called his mommy. Yes, he called his mommy and told her to call the university to see if they could get him back on the team. His prominent parents. That's what privileged kids do. When they get in trouble, they can call their parents. These average kids that are being pulled over by the police, they may not have that luxury. They may not even be allowed to call their parents. That's if they're not killed. So this is the family that Rudy Giuliani has, his children at least, but I got to thinking more about him. Since he has all this advice for us, who is Rudy Giuliani? Where did he come from? Who are his parents? What about his wife? What is what is it? Who is he? So I started, like, on the internet we have all this information, and lo and behold, I found out that Rudy Giuliani's father robbed a milkman at gunpoint and served a year and a half in jail. Is he a gun-toting thug? Those thugs that he was cleaning up in New York years ago. And then the family, because they are allegedly, maybe, be tied to the mob. So his father moved them away from Brooklyn and they moved to Long Island. And then Rudy grew up there, peaceful life, and I wondered what he was like as an adult. His first wife he married, it was his cousin. Yes, it was his second cousin, the nasty bastard. He stayed with her a couple years. They got married young. So, like young marriages, it didn't last. And he met his second wife, who was Donna. She's the mother of his little sweetheart children, Caroline and Andrew. And they stayed together quite a few years. And eventually, Rudy Giuliani became the mayor of New York. And, they were together a while and they started having problems. And Rudy moved out of the house that the mayor lives in into a house with two friends of his. He left his wife and children in the house and moved in with two friends. Now, while he was, living with them, I guess he started dating. Even though he was still married, he started dating. And he met this woman and had kind of an open affair with her. He's still married, wife living in the house where the mayor's supposed to live. He eventually divorced that second wife and he married this third lady. Her name is Judith. This is the man who's giving us advice. This is the character and the things that his family has gotten into. Is he one to be giving us advice on what we should do with our families? I don't want his advice. I don't think he's in a position to give advice. His children did not turn out that great. He has a spoiled, privileged son who believes that when he does wrong that his parents can fix it. He calls mommy and daddy. He has a sticky-fingered daughter who walks into stores and believes that, it's her right to take their stuff, which is consequently breaking the law. He has children that, don't even have a problem bending the rules because they think they're special. So you know what? We think our children are special too. And we'll decline your advice and we'll raise our children the way that we see fit. Now, people who live in glass houses and, they have these children that they think are just perfect. And then we find out that their kids are out doing the same thing that black children are being shot and killed out in the streets for. But they have the opportunity, the parents, to call them and get out of a lot of things. But sometimes, we don't have that opportunity. Minorities in this country, they don't have those opportunities. So again, I say to Rudy Giuliani, thanks, but no thanks. Keep your fucking advice, you racist asshole. You are a racist. It is plain as day. You get on television and you spew your hatred amidst all this stuff that's going on in the country, amidst this presidential candidate, Trump, who's also out here spewing hatred and racism and, has his rally so riled up. People are spitting on people and punching black people as they go by or taunting them. This is the climate that we live in, folks. This is what's going on. We got this man on television. Every time something like this happens, they call Rudy Giuliani to come to one of those network news shows and ask his opinion. And this is what he says. We need white people to control us. I actually think that's what all of them think, you know. They are the descendants of slave owners, so maybe this is inbred in them, it's in them to think that we need them, you know. Just something to think about. And with that, folks, I am spent. I mean, I can't speak anymore on this. It was too much for my little black girl sensibilities. So with that, I will get out of here, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. And thank you so much for listening to my video about Mr. Giuliani. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.